Like many of my fellow Australians this morning, I'm sure we can all attest that we barely slept last night. There is constant information coming out. Today, the death toll has risen to 16 and the injuries are more than 42 as of the moment of me recording this video. Yesterday's video that I recorded and uploaded on my socials was a way of documenting in real time my thoughts being an Australian Muslim woman. Like I said yesterday in my video, I'm a researcher in Islamophobia and I look at the impacts of Islamophobia on our community. There's something that I want to address in particular with a lot of people who downplay the impacts that something like yesterday's Bondi Massacre has on our communities. There were a lot of conversations that were happening. I was having a lot of conversations yesterday. And one of the things that I was doing yesterday was actually canceling my plans for the summer holiday. And that means canceling all my beach trips, canceling all my getaways. I do not feel comfortable and safe leaving my home environment at the moment. And the most I'll go is within like a 10-kilometer radius. But that's the reality of me being a Muslim woman who's also a mother, who's a wife, who's a student, who's a worker, whatever it might be. I don't feel comfortable and I don't feel safe. And that's really important to highlight here. And I'm not trying to make this about me, but there is an undeniable feeling in the air that the Bondi Massacre didn't just impact 16 lives yesterday, and it didn't impact the 42 lives that are injured, and it didn't impact just the Jewish community, and it didn't impact just the Bondi community. We all collectively have felt something from the Bondi Massacre yesterday. We have all felt something that has changed us irreversibly. And the Australian community will never be the same, just like we were never the same after the Link Cafe siege, just like we were never the same after anything that happened within the Australian context in the past 20 or so years. There's a few things I want to address. The first thing is that labeling it a terrorist attack was not incorrect, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to toe the line here, but I am going to speak my truth and I am going to speak from a logical perspective. Labeling it a terrorist attack is not wrong, okay? It caused terror. In the definition of terror, right? It did cause terror and it has caused terror across the entire Australian community. This is undeniable and you cannot change my mind on this and you cannot change the people's mind on this, okay? It has caused fear in the hearts of people. It has made a person like me, who is not part of the Jewish community, cancel my summer plans out of not only respect for the communities that were impacted, but also for the safety of myself and my own family. This you cannot change, right? So it did cause terror. But let's also not deny the underlying definition of terror that no one says out loud. It is associated with Islam. Okay, in the past 20 or so years since September 11, wherever you want to define that marker, define it wherever you want. But since events like this have been unfolding in our society and in the age of the media and the social media, everything being so out in the open, the term terror has an underlying definition to it that we don't say out loud. We don't speak it out loud, but we do think it, and it's in our subconscious, and it's in the way that we behave, and it's in the way that we move in our societies. Terror is associated with Islamophobia. Okay, there is a fear of Muslims and what they are able to do. That is the definition of Islamophobia, that we fear Muslims and what their abilities are and whatever you want to say. And so when we label something a terrorist attack, we are also essentially saying, there is a possibility this is a Muslim and there is a possibility that this is associated with Islamic ideologies. Okay, no one likes to say this part out loud, and politicians like to toe the line with this one in particular. And we saw that in the press conferences last night. But everybody was thinking it. Everybody had it running in the back of their brain because we have been so conditioned to think in such a way. Okay, you also cannot deny this fact. The second thing that I want to talk about is when people come out of the woodworks at these times of events and say, oh, it was an inside job, or September 11 was an inside job. I'm not arguing with you and asking you to believe this event happened or believe that September 11 was an inside job or whatever bullshit you want to claim, okay? I'm not here to argue that stuff with you. This is all semantics to me. You cannot deny the impacts that things like September 11 has had on communities, especially the Muslim community. Not only did it affect the lives of those who were lost in those tragedies and forever changed the landscape of their lives. Some people have lived their entire lives without their parents because of that event. But it has also changed the way that the Muslim community acts and behaves. There is a collective guilt that we carry because of events like that. And you cannot deny that. You cannot say that September 11 was an inside job and then go on to deny that Islamophobia has been fueled rampantly since then. Because our community has been severely impacted by events like that. I haven't even touched on October 7. We're not even going to touch that right now because that is way too much to unpack. But I'm just saying, you cannot come in here on social media or in our messages or in our conversations and say, oh, September 11 was an inside job. Oh, yesterday's massacre was an inside job. You can't claim that stuff because irreversibly it has changed people's lives. I'm not here to argue semantics with you. I'm not here to talk conspiracy theories with you. I'm here to talk to you about how I need to make sure my family is safe. We need to make sure our society and our communities are safe. And we need to make sure that the right people are held accountable and an entire religion is not blamed for the events that happened last night. That's what we need to make sure. We need to make sure that we do not fuel hatred. We only fuel community and togetherness. We need to make sure that we don't suffer the consequences of these people's actions, which is exactly what has been happening globally since September 11. Dare I say even before that. Okay, an entire religion has been at the forefront of these events and these attacks because a bunch of losers have misconstrued a bit of my religion. Okay, you cannot deny these facts. So if you think it's an inside job, that thought should stay an inside thought and don't say that out loud. And if you continue to spew hate and fuel division within our society, this is the result of it. So I urge the media, I urge politicians, I urge anybody making these kinds of videos, watch what you say and how you say it. And my comment section right now is absolutely horrendous. There are some great people out there making comments like, we know you're not a terrorist, we know you're not, you don't identify with these ideologies, which thank you for those comments. I see them and I read them. Thank you for those. But there are also people that are fueling that division in the comment sections. So please, before you become a keyboard warrior and you start typing shit under people's videos and stuff like that, or under people's posts or stuff like that, work on building the community and bringing us together, not fueling the division that is so clearly there between us. There is a reason why so many of us feel unsafe. And it is so unfortunate that we have come to this as a society.